Greetings, royal queens and kings. It's your host, Queen Tulsa. Welcome back to the Queen Tulsa Show. I will be your captain today. I'll have a co captain, but you'll have to stick around and find out who that is. First and foremost, if you're not subscribed to the channel, I need you to press that subscribe button down below. If you're already subscribed to the show, set your notifications to all so that you don't miss any of the hot topics and fire content. And go on and press that like button while you're at it. Queens and Kings, on the agenda today, we will be talking about Plainest Jane. She had a show yesterday, and I believe her name is the Plainest Jane here on YouTube. She's upset. I mean, don't know why. Jess Hilarious versus T.S. Madison. This is a call in show. We will be discussing Tasha and Sidney Starr. Well, we have a lot to get into, so let's get into it.
Anything he want with you, ain't nothing you can do
The
about
money game. This ain't the black man's game. This ain't the white man's game. This is the money game.
Scratching and scrambling most of my days to get where I got.
Not sacrifice yourself. The best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them.
Now I eats in the big house kitchen. I got pine boards on the floor of my
If I
cabin.
crumble, my children crumble, my grandchildren crumble.
And it don't take much coughing for the master to make me have a cup of corn whiskey for my medicine.
I cannot, for the sake of my integrity, stand up here and let everybody that's counting on me crumble so I can make a statement.
Now that is fine living for a nigga, and I'll be damned if any African Guinea man is gonna make me lose all I've been working for. Now you take my meat.
There are ways to win the war in a different way.
Better learn. You best learn or you're gonna get the bloody back for sure.
All right, and we are back. But before we get into it, into the content, I wanted to bring this story to you. 30 men arrested in Oklahoma City prostitution sting. 30 men were arrested in a massive prostitution sting in Oklahoma City. The Oklahoma City Police Department's Vice Unit works to combat prostitution and human trafficking. Police said many of the women involved in prostitution are victims of human trafficking. With this sting bringing in more than 30 arrests, they said it's important to continue to fight this. A lot of these girls are victims of the sex trade. They are people who got into it before they were adults and ended up trapped in it, said Oklahoma City Police Sergeant Gary Knight. It gives us an opportunity to get them out of that trade, rescue them from that, especially if we can find them while they are still juveniles. Police said the prostitution sting was split up into three parts. One of these operations was street level along South Robinson. Another was hotel based for people responding to ads online. And the other was at a truck stop, Knight said. Police used officers and as decoys and even had the help of a trucking company during the operation. Truck stops sometimes have prostitutes hanging out at them. Frey Miller Trucking was kind enough to loan us some semis so our officers could go out there, Knight said. Police said some of the women involved in the stings are victims of sex trafficking. We're thankful for our law enforcement partners who recognize that sometimes people in these operations that they recover are victims rather than criminals, said Melissa Eek with the Dragonfly Home. Eek works to help those victims. That includes everything from having basic needs met that might look like getting some trauma focused therapy, medical care, legal assistance, Eek said. The Oklahoma City Police Department hopes these things discourage prostitution in the future. You may go out and you may find a prostitute or you may find a police officer and end up in jail. It's also important to note that soliciting a prostitute, when you're soliciting someone with the purpose of sex for money, that is not a felony crime, Knight said. Police said they plan on holding more operations like this to put a stop to prostitution and human trafficking. I wanted to bring that article to you guys because we definitely have to look out for vulnerable individuals, right? And so, with that being said, what just happened? Um, okay, so we do have the call in number, but I do want to go ahead and bring up some content because we all know the viral story of trans women going out and saying that women are gatekeeping periods, and it, like I said the other day on that young lady's channel, I don't know if that, that person was trying to get a doing it for shock value, or how people are really just doing anything for clout and for fame these days. It's like anything to get a reaction, and um once the people are engaged, then they just really take off with it. Okay, guys, give me 1 second. I am trying to upload some content. Give me a second. I'm going to go out and I'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. I do apologize about that. Hopefully, you guys can hear me much, much, much better. I did want to bring up some content. So, give me 1 second because, like I said yesterday, I was on a Plainest Jane's show, and it seemed like she wanted to get a moment because she was looking for a viral moment. She thought that I was coming on there to be controversial. And it's like, it's so interesting when these ladies um have a disdain, and you could just see the disgust um in her while she's talking about the whole situation with Just Hilarious, because she wanted to pit people against each other. She's like, well, whose side are you on? Why does it have to be a side? Why can't we, as human beings, come together on one accord and do something right? Why can't we just have a conversation? It's always a divide. And one thing that I've noticed about some of our women, we will protect the man, we will let him go upside our head, and we don't get up into him like that. But when it comes to an issue like this, it's very triggering for some people. I don't know if it's past experiences, maybe, they had a particular experience, you know? Okay. And we are still here. I know there people are watching, they can't stop watching me, and they are wanting to be just so negative. So our live will be going in and out because we have some weird people that don't want to see us keep going. Unfortunately, we're gonna make them mad because we're gonna keep going. Okay. Now, this is the one thing that I did want to say. I wanted to go over to this particular clip right here. Okay. So let me go ahead and read my disclaimer. Give me a second. Okay, disclaimer, copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tends to balance in favor of fair use. This video was made for entertainment purposes and is transformative in nature. Okay, so like I said, I was on a Plainest Jane's channel, right? And this is my thing. It's all about respect for me. Like my name is Queen Tulsa, and it really just lets me know who's offended and who's bothered. Like you're so bothered by a name that you want to call me something that you want to call me. I'm going to give you guys an example. Give me a second. This is the Plainest Jane.
And what do we have? 6 more callers back here. All right. So let's get into our next caller. Hit thumbs up if you haven't already. Share this video with somebody. Share it in your group chat, text message, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, however it is that you share videos. Let us get into our next caller. Tulsa, what's going on? What are your thoughts about this debacle involving Monique, T.S. Madison, and I saw Sidney Star even kind of had a couple of things to say about it too.
Okay, well, it's Queen Tulsa. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Thanks. I want to say, united we stand.
Okay, so this is what I said.
And divided we fall. And us attacking each other, is not really going to get us to a resolution. How it was, presented, it may not have been the best, but I, think that these two women needs to sit down and really have a conversation, because I kind of feel like there's some information that needs to be shared on both parts, as far as where she's coming. They need to know where each other's coming from. I feel like if there's a conversation, we can find common ground. Do you agree?
I think that there are things that we both need to hear from both sides. Yeah, I do think.
Okay, so pretty much, and what I've been explaining this whole time is, oh, girl wanted a moment, right? She wanted a moment, and she wanted to have what she was doing was she was trying to coach me into getting into an argument with her, or triggering me to make me feel away, right? So here, let me go ahead and upload this. Let me just share the video. And like I said, this is fair use. Okay, I'm not really sure what is going on, child, but we are here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the content.
United we stand, divided we fall. And
okay, I want you guys to really
in the chat and in the next.
I really want you guys to check out her body language. I want you guys to check out this lady's body language. Like, she's all over the place. She was very much so given upset tease, right? She felt the way about me. She wanted to get into it so bad. I thought it was like a bit disgusting. I mean, somebody that's got all these followers, But yeah, I want you guys to get into it. Okay, so get into her body language when I come up.
Back here. All right. So let's get into our next caller. Hit thumbs up if you haven't already. Share this video with somebody. Share it in your group chat, text message, Instagram, Twitter.
Okay, so she says share the message, right? Share the video. So that's what we're doing. We're sharing it. We are definitely sharing it. Okay.
Facebook, however it is. If you share videos, let us get into our next caller. Tulsa, what's going on? What are your thoughts about this debacle involving Monique, T.S. Madison, and I saw Sidney Starr even kind of had a couple of things to say about it too.
You guys see how like she's looking around all over the place? Like she's looking all over the place because I was supposed to have come up a little bit earlier. And she got so excited. She was like, "Well, let's go on a commercial break because we have we have somebody in the back that's from the other side." And pretty much gave me like this weird introduction. So I dropped down. I'm like, I don't need all that. I don't need you introducing me and telling what you think is my story. You don't know me. You're just a content creator. And I think some people get besides themselves when they want to issue out or go ahead and take it upon themselves to inform somebody about who you are. You don't even know me, ma'am. My name is Queen Tulsa. She says, "Hey, Tulsa, watch how I respond." See, I came up here with dignity and respect, okay? I'm a classy woman. And if you don't know how to be classy, I don't have a problem with lending you some techniques, okay? So without further ado, here we go.
Okay, well, it's Queen Tulsa. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Thanks. Well, first and foremost, I want to say, united we stand, divided we fall. And us attacking each other, is not really going to get us to a resolution. How it was, presented, it may not have been the best, but I, you know, think that these two women needs to sit down and really have a conversation because I kind of feel like there's some information that needs to be shared.
Now, do you guys see that now that I'm talking to her, she's all distracted? But if you look at her video, she was full on connected with the audience before me. Her plan did not go the way that she wanted it to. Right? She's looking all over the place. She's reading other messages. And she decides that she's going to pile on questions for me. It wasn't just one question, it was like a whole bunch of questions bunched up into one. Let's listen.
On both parts, as far as where she's coming, they need to know where each other's coming from. I feel like if there's a conversation, we can find common ground. Do you agree?
I think that there are things that we both need to hear from both sides. Yeah, I do think that there needs to be common ground. Will we find it? Hopefully, in a perfect world. I think that there are things that both sides need to understand.
Right.
Both sides need to be open to hearing the discrepancies. So
now, I do have a problem with the trans woman saying that women are trying to gatekeep the period. I think that's very delusional.
Okay, let's be real. When you talk about an experience that someone genetically did not ask for, and you start trying to take that from them and you've never experienced a period, I think that I think it was too much. In fact, I know it was too much to the trans woman that decided to sit out here and gaslight people. It's like, we already have enough that we face already. We already have enough challenges that we're overcoming. We don't need nobody trying to set us back. So the misinformed trans women, the upcoming girls, educate yourself before you start getting on social media, start ranting off at women, because we have come way too far. We have come way too far. When you add in celebrities, you're just gaslighting. You're just gaslighting it. But let's get into it, y'all.
I think that individual, I don't know if it was shock value that they were going after or it was just plain out delusional, but you can't argue with anatomy. You can argue with everybody else, but you can't argue with anatomy. And I feel like, I'm a mom, I'm a married woman, I have a husband, I have children. My children are girls. I would never try to take their mother's experience away from her. I'm not going to sit up here and talk to my children about puberty or periods. I don't know anything about it. That's why they have their other mom. I don't overstep my boundaries, and it's a respect thing.
Okay, if you can see right here, she's getting very irritated. She's rolling her eyes. She's really doing the most because this isn't how she wanted it to go. She wanted me to come up there and get very ratchet with her and go back and forth and go to pointing my finger and trying to step more into womanhood than she could ever. That's what she wanted, but it wasn't about that. It's never about that. It's about being upstanding people and voicing your concerns without getting just downright dirty. You know, it's a way that you can have conversations. But peep this out. This is where she goes with it.
And we're going to raise our children accordingly because it's not about us, it's about them. To any women that can't conceive, had a hysterectomy, I hope you were not offended. And if you were, I want to particularly apologize. I want to apologize to you. I can't take your womanhood, plain and shame. I just can't. Whether if I prayed on it, whether if I brought a lot of money and said, oh, this is what I can't do that. Now, when I went for breast augmentation, I didn't have to see no therapist. But when you are making the transition from said gender to the next gender, there is a process that you have to go through. I think what's triggering even more is seeing these white men that are claiming to be trans with these beards up in the bathroom with a hard on with their phones out.
I know exactly what video you're talking about.
No, that's the.
She picked up on that real quick. I know exactly which video you're talking about. Right? I want you guys to go over and take a look at it. I'm going to speed this up a little bit, but let's speed it up a little bit.
They straight, gay, whether they identify as the moon, penguins, or bears. That's inappropriate for school. 3 weeks later, here comes a mugshot of the teacher who was having an inappropriate relationship. She's running this club that's supposed to be dedicated to fostering these kids. It's really running thing. The same way that throwing transphobia or homophobia or any phobia on criticism is getting stale and it's not halfway as effective as some of the community thinks it is. Calling all of this shit isolated incidents. When I open up the newspaper and I'm reading about 7 instances a day, these are not people acting, oh, it's just the internet. Y'all only see a couple of these things. It ain't but so many people going around eating their food and going around like that big burly nigga. But you know how fast us black people are like, don't associate him with us.
Let's talk about it, because right here, and I'm so glad that we did cover a story today about a prostitution ring and 30 men being arrested, right? And if you guys are the replay gang, the article that I had read to you all, the 30 men that were in OKC, they were trafficking. And so what I had a problem with, Plainest Jane, is don't try to put trafficking on one community. It's happening in all communities. If we're going to address it, let's address it in all communities. It's so easy for individuals to really sound off on what they're against. That could be biblically, or whatever, right? Their personal beliefs. But let's call a spade a spade. Let's call everybody to the yard.
Pass him off. He ain't one of us, because some things are so egregious that you have to separate yourself from. It's your group, whether it be the AKA or whatever. At what point do you disassociate that? I feel like the most egregious sin out here is not even murder. It's targeting children and doing nasty, fucked up sexual shit to them. Why is it that y'all community don't speak up and don't have no energy for that, but y'all want to argue with women?
Notice as she's having the conversation with me, she's separating herself. Y'all community, your community. This woman did not want to come together on common ground. She wanted to do what others do, and that's divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. Why is this woman about to bust a sweat when we're just having a conversation? See, it was my spirit that was irritating her demon. She was looking for a moment to where we got into it. And she's going to keep going. Let's listen.
All day. Not y'all like you, but just from what we see. Why?
Well, I'm not really sure what they do, because I don't spend my energy in low vibrational things. I think that this is a all-based community problem, and it just really seems like you're trying to point it to the trans and gay community, that the trafficking. Did you hear about the children in Philadelphia that were trafficked? Who did?
You see her rolling her eyes? You see her rolling her eyes? This is the problem with some Black women. You see that? I'm sitting up here engaging, having a conversation. We're not best friends. Let's have a conversation. She's too busy over here rolling her neck, rolling her eyes. She's very discomfortable with how the conversation is not going the way that she wanted it to. Let's have a conversation. Let's put our anger aside and really let's talk about this. You and I, let's figure out a solution. We could have figured out a solution, but she was hesitant. She had hesitations.
It's that. So
whatever it is that you're talking about, I think that we need to speak up on it as a whole. Tulsa, what I'm not going to do.
Queen Tulsa.
I'm not, listen, Tulsa.
Okay, I've got to go. I'm not going to go back and forth.
Gotcha. Talk to you later. All right, so we're not going to move the goalpost because our children.
Very one-sided. Very one-sided. What's so interesting is people have these one-sided outlooks, right? They want to go with what's going to get the crowd in here, right? And that is, oh my God, let's protect the children. Well, why not let's protect all children, right? All children. Why are we just protecting a certain group of children? Why not protect all the children? This was heavy. I think I'm gonna have to do like a part 2 to this, because when after that live, I was just like, oh my God, what just happened? And it was a lot. My system over here is doing numbers. Okay, so how about this? How about we come back a little bit later, guys? I want to thank you all so much. If you guys can still hear me, definitely we will be back a bit
Anything
later.
he want with you, ain't nothing you can do
The
about it.
money game. This ain't the black man's game. This ain't the white man's game. This is the money game.
Scratching and scrambling most of my days to get where I got.
Not sacrifice yourself. The best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them.
Now I eats in the big house kitchen. I got pine boards on the floor of my
If I
cabin.
crumble, my children crumble, my grandchildren crumble.
And it don't take much coughing for the master to make me have a cup of corn whiskey for my medicine.
I cannot, for the sake of my integrity, stand up here and let everybody that's counting on me crumble so I can make a statement.
Now that is fine living for a nigga, and I'll be damned if any African Guinea man is gonna make me lose all I've been working for. Now you